My name is Michael C. Kelly. I am Chief Investigator for the BBC Ad Hoc Committee on Honest Law Enforcement. What I'm holding here is a picture of the big pot bust of early September. I think we all remember this picture in the Democrat. Look at all those pot plants. This is one here from the Democrat. And the article says 7 charged in drug seizure. This spectacular article was pretty interesting. The sheriff, Scott Bradley, and his officers claim, and the DA, claim that there was $5 million worth of marijuana seized up there, and that there were 9,215 plants. So, having said all that, I guess we'll go. This is Watergate Road. Not easy to find. Plenty rural. A lot of fine people live out here. Very rustic, very independent kind of people. Many of them are pretty shocked and startled when the sheriff and his SWAT team swooped down about a month ago. Okay, we're at the turn. We go left here on Gaslight off of Watergate Road. Now here's where it starts to get rough. Authorities were not very clear in their articles in the newspaper on how they discovered this remote area, this remote guerrilla patch. They just called it a very efficient investigation. Makes one wonder right there. A bit further. So we're about perhaps a mile now from the grow site. I think we'll stop here and walk. This is actually essentially where the Deltic property begins. So we're going to park the truck. Right here with the metal gate, this private property where it begins. Now take note of this road. This road is an easement that the sheriff's department cut into the forest when they came down here to seize the $5 million worth of marijuana plants. This is I presume, a turnaround that they cut into the earth. Not very pretty. Litter everywhere. We brought our own water too, because it is a pretty rugged area. This essentially is the opening of what they say is a spot where over 9,000 female marijuana plants grew. So having said that, let's examine a little evidence, which I'm certainly glad is still here. These cups, these are starter cups. The growers came here many months ago, probably March, maybe February even, and started to hack out their area, which we're going to go into in a minute. But these starter plants were beginning 190 pots here. Take note. We know that they're starters because they got little holes in the bottom. That's for drainage. What the grower does is takes these cups way back in the beginning, fills them with potting soil that you would get at Walmart. The cups probably came from Dollar General. punches some holes in the bottom first for drainage, and plugs the seeds in, and about a month later they're ready to plant. Okay. Now these cups are exceedingly important because the cups alone, I've already been through this site, I'm going to go again, but the cups alone indicate how many plants were in this particular patch. Adam and I brought along some string. Two reasons for this. We're going to try to measure off the general size of this grow patch. Also, it's kind of a labyrinth in there, and a week ago when I was in here, 9 days ago when I was in here, I almost got lost, so it'll help us to get out. We may be at the end, but I'm not totally sure. Now it's difficult to be sure, but I'm pretty sure. An area right here, this slight indentation, was a plant. There were plants there. A few feet over, another. Right here. A few feet over, another. Right in here. That's the way they were planted. 3 to 5 feet standard. Probably here too. Here's the spot. Here was the spot. You can tell the authorities came down here and they just yanked them out of the ground. They weren't cut. If you were growing right in here, this could be, yeah, it's hard to tell now, but that could have been a busted stalk of a marijuana plant. These are very scrawny, rangy plants. This is definitely a spot, perfect hollow, good place to plant them, except the trees. The trees really obstruct the sun. This is important because it has to do with the volume of product that you end up with in the end. In many respects, Arkansas and the South, in these woodsy areas, or anywhere in the country, are not a good place to grow. They're good for camouflage, but because of the obstruction of the sun, and the sun is everything in any kind of agriculture, it impedes their full growth. So they're only going to be so big, and they're only going to produce so much weight. And we're going to talk about weight a little bit. We're back now. Pretty exhausted. It's a strenuous thing for an old man like myself, but I hope you found it as interesting as we did. The measurements of that patch were about 200 feet by about 50 feet. Take a little bit of a mathematician to figure out how much actual, if that's an acre or what. It isn't a whole lot of property, although it's very rugged. It was rather well done in many regards as far as camouflage, and it makes one really wonder how they found it. I understand they did have trouble finding it by air, so my guess is there was an informant. But be that as it may, I leave that to the authorities. However, what I won't leave to the authorities is this. There can be no doubt, in my opinion, and I know a little bit about this, that there was only 100 female marijuana plants in that patch when all is said and done. The authorities are claiming there's over 9,215 female plants worth $5 million. In order for that to be true, there should be about 99 more patches the size we just went through. At least 50 that would be bigger. Do the math. It just doesn't add up otherwise. There must be other patches. Because, my friends, if there aren't other patches, there are not 9,215 plants. And as we noted in the newspaper, after the authorities pulled them up, they burned them. That's kind of like someone who dies under mysterious circumstances and gets cremated before there's an autopsy. These plants growing in these hills produced about 2 ounces. So actually, what came out of that patch that we were just in was about 200 ounces of marijuana. 200 ounces at about $150 an ounce perhaps, which is not $5 million.